All right, we are partially live on the PHU
Wow.
Dynasty podcast from a hot tub in Palm Harbor, Florida. We are here today really to talk about all the happenings that have gone on with the Los Angeles Lambs. I mean, just a flurry of movements right before the season has started. And we're just going to get right into it. You know, we're going to give James his opportunity. You know, we've had Muskrat States of the Unions before. We've had all kinds of things. With other teams, but I don't remember seeing a Lambs State of the Union before. I don't think that's happened.
In this regard, no, I don't think so. No, you're right.
So we'll open it right here. So obviously we had a huge trade last night at 5:30 a.m. It went through.
Yeah.
We've been joking that I was supposed to be woken up to do a podcast at 5:30 a.m.
Right.
I politely declined, but we are here now in a hot tub to do this giant review. So, Sean, if you want to read off maybe the details of said trade from last night at 5:30 a.m. A three-way trade too, not just the Lambs and Battle Axes trade. We also got the Lionheads involved in there too.
Just
so
sneaking his way into that trade.
So let's hear it,
so
Sean.
Let's take this is gonna be a fucking novel. Here we go. So Scavelli
I'm prepared.
acquires Aaron Rodgers, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Baker Mayfield, Brian Robinson, a haul.
That is a
Vince acquires David Njoku.
Very nice.
James acquires Will Levis, Frank Gore Jr. Jr., Jatavion Sanders, the Denver Broncos defense. 2025 third, 2025 fourth, 2026 first, a 2026 fourth, and another 2025 third.
That is a lot of picks. A lot of stuff, guys. It's a lot of stuff. So let's people outside of the league or outside of the hot tub at this point. People not outside the hot tub. How did this start? Who is the centerpiece of the deal for those who weren't in the let's bring me back to how this all started. You too, Scavelli. Obviously, we have Scavelli here off camera, but
the Battle Axes are here.
There he is. He's got beer. His beer's here, so that's important. But how did this come about, and how did it expand to three teams? Like, where did this start?
Well, the headliners are clear. It's Evans and a first, and I don't take it lightly moving a player such as Mike Evans' caliber, right? But obviously, what I'd already done it made sense. But we started with both of us were willing to move off of assets that we both admitted were tough, but it was things we wanted to do, right? You know, help kind of break my team down and help with this rebuild. So trading Evans and with the Battle Axes moving a first, that's tough, right? To be 2 years out on a first on a team that, was currently outside the top five of how we perceive them. Now with this trade, now we have throw our hat in the ring, the Battle Axes do, right? But from the Lambs perspective, moving a guy like Evans is tough, but I move the other guys, right? With Cooper and Brian Robinson, players that are good, but it makes the Battle Axes feel good about the haul that they're getting, and getting the first is massive. The thirds and fourths are important because players like Cooper and Robinson, I feel like on their own, one of them could have somehow gotten me a second this year.
I would agree with that.
But I can't pass up getting a first.
Now, firsts are key.
Yeah.
And it's in 26, it's not at 27, so you're going to get it a little bit sooner. So, Scavelli, from your side of things, tell me, why was Mike Evans the target? Why? I mean, obviously we know with the Bucks connection here, Killabuck here, but if there was one piece, did it have to be Evans, or were you looking at other options too?
So I would say it certainly did not have to be Evans, but just because of some trades that had happened, I believe a couple days prior, it kind of limited some of the options. Certainly, I wasn't trying to limit myself to, okay, let's just focus on receivers or whatnot. Like, there were a few running backs that James had as well, Travis Etienne and
that's true.
Joe Mixon that I also had some interest in, and I certainly would have considered moving that first in the package for those guys. But I think, Evans made a lot of sense to me, certainly a guy that I don't believe that I've ever owned in any fantasy league, so it was really intriguing to be able to get him. First and foremost, just to be able to really have a serviceable wide receiver core and solidify that position, because that was, just anybody going through my team, it was pretty apparent that was a major weakness. So I think Evans, that was, the foundation of it. And then we started playing around with, okay, well, a first for Evans, I'm not really that comfortable with that. How could we make it, a little more, fair for everybody and equitable, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Brian Robinson was a guy that I feel like since I own Darius Geis, like I never
like to watch
never
Darius
dived
Geis.
back into the Washington Commanders
Darius Geis.
backfield. So there was a really
And Brian Robinson's been traded a lot in the
Yeah.
league, so he's
getting passed
been on the
around.
move a
Yeah.
lot. He's in the
bags packed.
he's in the Michael Pittman tier of players. Who
Oh my
like,
God! Maybe I don't even know. Is Michael Pittman the most
He's-
moved player in our league's history, or is there? Do you think? Well,
Brian
I don't
Robinson's
know-
now getting close.
I guess if you
You know,
trade wise,
but
yeah,
he's-
Lynn Bowden is the clear obvious
But,
winner there.
but yeah, getting actually being like not future part of trades, but being a player who's. But again, he's when he played last year, he was good. You know, so he's a player that like again, and you said he's a younger player, so it helps you with giving up a first. Like, hey, at least I'm getting
Exactly.
something that's extending.
to
In
get
theory, could
to
extend.
get a guy that was younger, because originally our idea, or at least my idea, was okay first, and then let me do as Battle Axe's tradition. Let's acquire some old veterans, and let's try to push and maximize
Yeah.
this window. And so we were talking about guys like Eckler, and what could we, and there was even talks of okay, maybe we'll pair Eckler and Robinson. And,
Yeah, we thought about
make
putting
that-
it, but then that was too many
make
commanders. That was too many
exactly,
commanders.
That's a
Yeah,
lot of
then I was just
commanders.
going
A lot of
all in on the
commanders.
commanders. So
To add to that Robinson point, he's going on his 5th team in our dynasty.
I love
league.
that.
He's going into his 3rd year in the NFL.
That's it. That's
So,
impressive.
drafted by Tibbs, traded to me, traded to Dustin, traded to James, traded to Scavelli.
yeah.
Brian Robinson,
So,
the gift
so
that
it's
keeps
not
The
giving.
ultimate
It's not like
Eskimo bro kind
it's
of
not like
I like
not like
that.
I love
Well traveled.
Robinson or have any
No,
sort
but
of.
he's a good in our
he's
dynasty.
a solid, yeah.
He's solid.
And I was looking for guys that I could play in the flex.
Yeah, that's what he is.
because
But he made a nice
the
flex
biggest
player.
thing, just looking at how my year panned out last year, and maybe seeing like some spots of weakness and things like that, it was really depth, and it was the fact that I feel like every single week I was starting 2 or 3 tight ends every single time.
That's not a good
And
look.
I did
Not a good look.
Not a good look at all. And I did not want to be in that position again this year. So I figured, okay, well, I am pretty deep at tight end. Let's move off of one of them, and then we will be very happy rotating George Kittle and Evan Ingram at tight end, and then
It's great.
let's start,
Yeah.
using, more, I would say, guys in the flex that have higher ceilings and, bigger chances to go off. And so trying to find the third piece of this deal where Cooper was a guy that, wasn't even on my mind at all. Like
Yep.
we were originally talking about Eckler, we were talking about maybe Brandon Cooks, and then I was just going through his team again, and I was thinking, like, why not? Like, why
Sure,
can't
why
we,
not?
why can't we push this even further? Like, why can't I get 2 bona fide
Why limit
starting
it? Just let's keep
receivers?
Limit it. I mean,
Keep it
you know,
coming.
Let's get some more running back depth.
We're at a
and,
ton of value
If
here,
I'm
yeah.
already giving up a first round pick, like let's just go
Well,
all
yeah.
the way.
And again,
Do what we gotta do. So
with Cooper and Robinson being a second, this is where I made him throw into Dustin early third.
Dustin
Again.
Early is important.
that-
Elk, I'm coming
that-
for you, Elk.
Oh,
Yeah, and
You heard it
again,
here
that,
first from the hot
that,
tub.
that was a piece. That
Not
was
covered, but I mean, challenge for 1-1. That's what it is.
it is a
right?
challenge for 1-1.
I mean, I think it's clear who's the favorite for that is. Right?
I think so, too.
Looking at the projections, and again, Commissioner, I will start my players.
Yeah, I was going to say, so James, now that the
Yeah.
deal is done, obviously
Right.
multiple deals done, and we'll get to those in a second. But are we happy with where the Lambs are at right now?
Yeah,
based
I mean,
on
there's
your plan?
there's some spare parts left that people know, but I'm not going to just trade them off for thirds and fourths right now because it doesn't really do anybody any good.
right.
Because I don't think but I think in season
Mm.
certain guys on my team, certain waiver things I do, certain just whatever things.
Yeah, you're gonna have
more,
flexibility.
More opportunities can develop, but no, this was the last big trade to kind of like.
The last chip to fall. if
Yeah,
you will.
I mean that's all the big assets. I now I have at least 2 firsts in each year. I got some other interesting prospects who I can at least say, hey, like, this year is obviously we're not going nowhere, but I have some prospects that I like in addition to the other deal that I made, getting Thomas, and then with you we got Coleman. So like, there's players that are staying.
All right, from the producers room here, another question.
There you go.
Dustin will have done his rebuild now and not have gotten 1-1 in
That's
either
true.
year.
Yeah.
Is that?
Well, it's not. Is it guaranteed? Guaranteed?
it's not guaranteed,
I mean,
guaranteed, but I would say you're the
obviously-
favorite.
Malik Neighbors could have been a 1-1 in
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
any draft.
A lot of
Yeah,
others. That's
too.
not the point. It's just
I mean,
more.
no, I like.
Someone's beaten him now to the punch twice.
Sure.
Incidentally, last year was Justin.
Yeah.
And
No,
now
it's tough.
you're in
It's-
pole position this year.
Sure.
he was pole position last year and didn't get it, so it could happen. It
That's
could.
what I'm saying. Yeah, but
Yeah, exactly. And
But-
my team's pretty bad though.
like, we never
The Lambs are
know.
pretty bad.
We never know how things are going to take up. We never know, injuries and all
Yeah,
the
I mean-
factors that come into play. And I think for me, the biggest thing was, I was also a little unsure about the direction I want my team to go. Like, is this
Sure.
time to start, a soft rebuild, or do we make one last
Right.
run? And taking a look at my running backs, taking a look at these guys, like, approaching 28, 29 years old, I feel like I got very lucky that through free agency they seem to have found some really good situations, and
I think Saquon
I figured
found a
why
really good
not?
one.
Like that.
I think both. I think Saquon and Henry both
I agree.
ended up in the
Yeah.
perfect spot for their own.
So where does this
sake.
leave you then, Scavelli?
So I
was
With
gonna
you
say,
and
so that was-
Justin
that was
both
my
making
next
moves,
question.
Where
are you
am I?
ahead of Justin?
Ooh, that's right. Yeah, the other big
Give me your
trade.
give me your power rankings.
Give us the
today.
Scavelli's
This is
power
what people
rankings.
want to see. People
So I
wanna
respect
see-
the friendship. Yeah.
People respect the battle axes and
don't
their
know what you
opinions.
think.
They want to hear what the power rankings.
You got the shirt on.
Got the shirt. I mean, shit. He's the only one that came in costume.
I know. I gotta buy one.
Yeah, I don't have a shirt on at all.
So, of course, I always want to be respectful to
Oh,
the,
boy, here we
the
go.
league champion.
Nice
the
PR
year
answer
before.
there.
So, of course,
Excellent public relations.
Sean is up towards the top, just by default. Obviously, I really respect what Adam has done with his rebuild, so he has to also be up there towards the top. Vince as well. Eric is also, in that, Vince and Eric maybe not 3-4 kind of range, and maybe myself and Dan kind of fighting for, the 5.
Poor Justin doesn't
Justin
even get a
didn't even get
mention.
the honorable
Doesn't
mention to
even
the
get the
top six.
mention. Sorry, Justin.
Justin, I really
You don't make the
I really
playoffs.
like
Wow,
the
so I
moves.
traded for a top 4 pick. Wow. Okay.
You might have.
According to
No. I really like the moves that Justin made. He's certainly in the mix as well.
He's in the mix.
Where does this
Even-
leave Alex?
Even,
This is what everybody wants to know.
the hard-hitting
I
question.
feel like even Alex, I
Muskrats.
respect a lot of moves that he's made, and he has a very formidable roster as well. He's definitely be in the mix, so
there's good players on that team.
I
There's not
do.
like
I
that.
really
He's-
like
He's
a
a
lot
couple
of moves.
injuries away from giving Tibbs the 101 next year. Because Tibbs has his first.
Well, he has, this year, I mean,
Isn't it this year?
again, my team is bad. Like it's gonna take
Alex's
it's
team
gonna
is
take
really
ravage.
bad outside of like a couple players. Right?
We only had 5 receivers.
Counterpoint, there aren't any
Sean,
really
sorry,
top
Nate,
players.
round.
It's more just a lot of mid players. So I don't feel like one injury really hurts Alex that much,
Yeah.
other than Mahomes and
Puka would be
Laporta.
brutal, though, too.
Puka too, but other than those 3 players, who in Alex's team is not expendable?
Well, yeah, like you said, like earlier we were talking about how all the running backs kind of fall in the same.
They're all RBs 20
draft
through
round
32.
7 to 8 tier, right? Like it's kind of a muck there too. But
If he loses Najee Harris, it shouldn't be a season-ruining injury,
it would
but
be,
it would be maybe for him.
it would be brutal.
I don't even want to sleep on the Lambs either because
Oh, shut
Here we
up!
go.
I'm just
Here
saying
we
this
go.
is a team that that second place they
No, look.
Really, none of those people are here.
No,
I
they're
know.
all
Shipped
gone.
off.
They're all gone. Yeah.
You're all got FedEx
Yeah, but
out.
You're talking about the Ottoman Empire, but it's Turkey now. They don't have the
No,
empire.
no,
I understand that, but he still,
I'm happy with the
still has a couple key players.
Who?
and-
Who's he got?
I have Lamb.
Lamb?
That's it. Lamb.
Sidarius.
Someone-
Herbert went undrafted in a league I heard of today. A reputable league, he went undrafted.
Look, I'm happy
I
with the
guess it
prospects
is,
that I got,
yeah.
but they're not. This is not what this is. You
James
know?
doesn't even want to be thought of in the playoffs.
Yeah, James like, yeah, I don't need that.
Don't
It's
even
not, well,
speak
yeah,
into
it's not.
existence.
And then, obviously,
We'll be
No,
starting.
the
Kenneth
Ken-
Gainwell is my RB2.
Kentucky
Like, what are
Elk.
we talking about?
Yeah,
Well,
what,
that's
do you think about the Kentucky Elk? That's a good one.
so
because
much-
He's in
so
the
much
mix.
depth. They have a lot of guys.
classic ninth
They have
place
a lot of
team.
guys.
That's what the Elk are.
Ninth place team, wow.
James says 9th place. You heard it here first.
We traded
if-
James
if
Cook
you get-
to
He did
strengthen,
trade James Cook.
strengthen our
If you get
defending
points,
champion, which
if
which
you
I
get
like.
points for the amount of players on your roster, then Dustin would definitely
He's a winner.
be a winner.
Point,
Yeah.
point per player
I
league.
wish him the best of luck.
PPP. Point per three,
I wish him the best of
3P.
luck with his cuts, and he knows that I'm, here to.
Dustin,
help
when are you making your
him
cuts?
With that as well, if he needs. If need be, so.
Cuts.
Cuts.
We need him.
We need the cuts. If they happen tonight during the draft, that'd be awesome.
That's when you do it. That's how the media buries stories. Do it while we're all busy doing
Nice
stuff.
Friday news dump.
Yeah, exactly. A Saturday night news dump. While
Saturday-
we're all drafting.
Labor
start
Day
You
cutting
gotta
the
sign
play.
that
Yeah,
executive
big-
order when
yeah.
something else is going on, right? Like,
Justin and Dan are gonna be like, "Oh my god," because they're not doing the other drafts, so they're gonna be losing their minds.
I don't know why I assumed Dustin was going to be here for the draft.
No, he's got family in town, but
yeah.
yeah.
We'll see him
so
soon.
he's in town, but
No, he's not in town. He lives in Sarasota.
Dustin?
No, Justin. Oh, wrong
Yeah,
Austins.
yeah,
The other Austin.
The other
I
Austins.
guess.
No, I think Dustin's got other things going on, but yeah.
Well,
He-
Vince, let's circle back to the trade here. You were involved in the trade.
Oh, I was there
Yeah,
too.
I'd like to know what your thought process was.
Vince
You know,
was
like
a
what
big
did it look like
A
for
big part
you?
of the
Big
trade.
key.
Yeah.
I'm a big
I got
fan.
cyberbullied into doing it.
Oh,
You did
no.
not. You did not get cyberbullied.
I was in Cyberbullet if you
No.
were in person.
They texted me things.
Oh.
no.
You expressed
the reality
your interest,
is,
you expressed your interest in David Njoku, and you got him for a fair price.
thought that it was a fair price to get a preemptive depth in
Yeah.
David Njoku. That he's a player that I think has at least a 2 to 3 year window. He'll be a startable tight end if I ever need a backup. And to be able to get him for basically a third plus odds and ends, that's kind of how you do these things, or else you do end up with a Dustin roster of 40 fucking
Zillion
people.
people, yeah.
So, like, you got to sometimes lose value on a deal. And I lost value in a weird way. I lost it in odds and ends. Like, it's not like I
Right,
gave up
you
a
got a good
second. I gave up a third and a bunch of other
I was
stuff.
willing to take odds and ends, and just
Correct.
Shavian Sanders is the ultimate. Like nobody else is.
The odd and end player.
Like nobody else can really roster that. You know, like I hope he's not new Jelani Woods, but like
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's going to get on
he's
the
better
field
than
more.
Jelani Woods. Please, I hope.
That's debatable.
That's
That is
debatable,
actually debatable in my mind. Like from a talent perspective, I think like
not
athletically,
hurt Jelani Woods.
not hurt Jelani Woods is a better player, I think. But like Jatavian Sanders needs he needs some help. But he's gonna be on the field. Like we talked about it. He's gonna play a lot of snaps. And he'll be put into the fire early, so I'm not going to be out on Jatavian Sanders at all.
No, but
Yeah.
we're willing to take that on from so you can get into Njoku. It makes sense to move a tight end then.
And then also moving Aaron Rodgers, the oldest
Yep.
player left in our dynasty
That's
league.
an
Yeah, and
underrated
again,
Three
Like
quarterbacks
this.
moving in the deal too.
This is-
I think
this
that's
is-
Three quarterbacks.
This is a Toronto Battle Axis model. We look at,
The
what does our team look like when
The
we
TBA
win these
model.
championships? Of course, last time we had Tom Brady, and I think this time.
Oh, okay, the old quarterbacks, you like it.
There is a sense of these guys.
veterans
they're-
kind of, they know how to do
exactly.
it.
They're getting up in
But this
age,
has
and they're
been-
like, okay, this is our last run.
This
like,
is the Toronto Battle Axes in a nutshell over the entire. It's all about the quality veterans, the cast-offs, the people that
Yeah.
they don't want. They're under. I know you said this. The PU media might not like the Battle Axes that much, but look where we're at right now. We're in play. We're in play now. So
Scavelli is really the Miami Heat of the league because the Miami Heat are the same way. They always trade their picks for veterans. Every once in a while, they'll take a stab at a first, like Scavelli does, get a guy in here. But for the
guys they
most
believe
part,
in.
they're moving their picks for veterans, even if they're not complete game changers like a Terry Rozier. They're just trying to get better every year, always be competitive,
Sure.
and whatever avenue to do that. And Scavelli
Right.
looks
Be
for
in the
that same
mix.
thing.
Right now,
Yeah.
especially after last night, we were living in the moment. We were being in the present, and we were trying to win now.
we're winning now.
Yeah,
you
we're
heard
winning now.
here.
I love it.
Scavelli is winning now. So I guess now that trade, I guess, is closed. The Lambs have been involved in a lot of different trades recently that we
Yeah.
haven't discussed on the podcast.
Wait,
right?
hold on.
I'm sorry. Go
This
ahead.
also hurts Dustin again. He is your pick.
Dustin, which pick?
He is Scavelli's pick.
The first rounder?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
So
No.
by that virtue, if Scavelli's getting better,
Getting better.
then
Yeah,
that pick
that's
got
good.
worse.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I didn't
All right.
interrupt you.
No,
That's,
that's-
that's,
that's
an underrated point.
My 2025 that I traded for Pollard. Dustin
Yes,
has that.
that's what
Well, that was the
Dustin
last
had.
three-way trade.
That was last 3 weeks, obviously.
Well, because it's.
I want a
I
four-way
feel like
trade.
it is.
He's got a four-way trade in him.
It is tradition that.
Eric, wake up!
There's
we
room
need
in
a
the hot
fourth.
tub.
Eric, wake up! We need a fourth
wanna-
partner for the
I'm
trade.
not throwing in a fourth
From
just
now
for shits and
on,
gigs.
from now on, I feel like if I give up a first, it has to be involved in the three-way.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way
It's
that
part of the deal.
things are
Part of
trending.
the deal.
It's
part of
in
the
the
deal.
it's in the transcripts. You can't
So, Eric,
take
what
that.
were you saying before I
I like to
interrupted
get the
though?
whole-
Oh, no,
I like
I was
as
saying-
much of the league is involved in these kinds of things.
All right, you heard it here first. The next frontier is four-way trade.
The final frontier.
Eric, wake up! We need a fourth trade
We need a
partner.
fourth
Commissioner,
trade.
can we get a bonus fourth? You get 411 if you pull it off. Everyone gets
We'll
4.
do a pick'em event, and then you win the pick'em event, you get 411. Then you can trade it. It involved in a four-way trade.
I feel like I have to bring this up as well because okay, this is something that maybe we were going to sweep under the rug, but we had a lot of really, I would say, innovative and groundbreaking discussions.
Innovative and groundbreaking.
That could have
Please share with
really
the podcast.
changed.
We almost did, yeah.
Yeah, changed the trajectory of a lot of things in the league, but of course I was more so just wanting to I don't want to.
Are you saying somebody was going to trade like an entire roster or something? Like, what do you? What,
So
this is a
Trading
broad statement. This
franchises,
is a very
we're
broad
branding
statement.
and everything.
This is a certain aspect of a trade that really hasn't been, I think, in the past really ever talked about or discussed. But this was something that Vince was willing
Proposed,
to do to get this deal done. So I commend him and commend his generosity. And
His generosity.
You know, I threw in because what I think
So, like,
Scavelli
where are we
is
getting at here? Like,
because what I think Scavelli is talking
That's
about,
very
and
PR answer.
James can corroborate this story is we were kind of at a deadlock, and I literally just said, okay, I'll throw in my 2026 fourth to James.
Okay.
And it helped massage the odds and ends a little bit better.
see,
Because
okay.
he had to choose between all our picks.
Right.
Because Vince has a lot of thirds and fourths.
And that also led to the discussion of conditionals. We actually wrote a contract
Hey.
even.
Conditional deals have, like you said, have never
The
really
artifact
happened.
in the artifacts of the Petrie Dynasty Museum is where the contract that never was.
Yeah, we wrote a contract. The contract would be that he gets priority on the third and fourth, whichever would be the highest.
So just in case you're watching, VP of Legal Services Justin Senior,
You dropped
we might have to drop some future language for different conditional pick trading because we haven't done it before, so it would be
But
pretty wild.
in the context of how we did it, it would have been he gets the pick of my thirds and fourths, and by virtue of that, all the thirds and fourths I have cannot be traded anymore.
Wow.
Because they have to. They won't. You know, if I trade them, then how could he get the best one?
Right,
so
right. There's no way to find
it would
out.
be it would be disingenuous to do that. So that was what we were going to do. Is I would not trade any picks, and he would just get the priority on the third and the fourth when the time come. Now we
be a
didn't think
fun
people
time.
would go for it, and so he just picked picks, and that's when I threw in that fourth to really help it move along.
Get that deal
And-
across the finish line at
Across the
5:29
finish line.
a.m.
You know, it was getting late. It was getting late.
We were
I'm sure
trying
you guys were
anything.
exhausted.
We were trying anything. There was the ballad of Johnny Wilson at 5 a.m. too, as well. But
That was like a 3:30 thing.
Yeah.
That's what got us to 5 a.m. is we had to spend
just
45
fill
minutes on
people
Johnny
in
Wilson.
On the timeline of all this, Mike Evans discussion started in the car on the way to Publix, I think we were talking about.
Yeah,
or
oh yeah,
something.
no, they're
Maybe
then-
even in text before that, some would
Yeah,
say.
it was before this, and then
Days before we came down for this meeting, this was the intention that James and I had as well. We
Yeah,
knew
we talked-
I feel like the feeling was in the air that a blockbuster trade was going to happen.
feeling was in the air.
I mean,
Like, we
the
set
thing
those
is, when you get
intentions
people
out
in
there.
person, discussions can happen. Anything can happen.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, we'll go back to the previous trades that we,
with
that the
Etienne.
Lambs have executed over the last few weeks before our most recent podcast. So go ahead and read it off, Sean, if you want to read the second trade, I guess. In
Yeah,
the
so
list.
this was done between Justin and James. So Justin received in this trade Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne, and a 2025 second via Dan.
A
Ja-
Dan second.
James receives Tez Walker, Brian Thomas, a 2025 first, and a 2025 fourth.
That is quite a trade, and it's important to mention too. This is a Justin Senior trade, which is with draft picks involved, is a bit rare. I
Even
will
more
say.
rare that he's the one giving up said draft picks.
Exactly.
I don't think that's ever happened. even.
It's a Petrie Dynasty collector's item, if you will.
Yeah.
It is.
A
It's
Justin
kind of like one of
Senior
those
first.
ones you put on the mantle.
A Justin Senior first.
You know, just you might want to.
Now,
you might issue a plaque.
Don't even spend it. Just
Don't spend
just
it.
keep it.
Just
keep
keep it.
Yeah.
You don't have to,
keep
to
it.
use it on a player. Just
never unwrap it.
You never
Just
know.
don't- yeah.
Just never unwrap it.
It'll be like a time.
And then whenever,
Just let it pass.
yeah, and then it's
Just
it's
pass
like in the
it.
real NFL when you don't use your draft pick.
That
It's,
would be the ultimate DM. Is if you win the championship and pass on your pick because you're just like, nah, I don't need it. It's okay. Our team's already great.
in the real
I just can't
NFL,
push anybody.
if you pass on your pick, you can just come back on the clock whenever it happens. So it'd be better if you passed in the first and waited to snipe somebody later.
Oh, that'd be great.
Like I don't need that there.
That would be. Yeah, the value isn't right. I'll wait a little bit.
I'll snipe someone later.
I don't want to take Trey Sermon too early.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could really take this trade as he traded you 2 first round picks.
Well, that was how it got done.
With Brian
because
Thomas.
I felt when I traded for Etienne, right? It
Sorry,
was
sorry.
2 firsts. The
Over
last
there.
3-way trade that I made with the Battle Axes was effectively 2 firsts because it was Pollard. It was a similar thing. It was like a player who's valued like a first and a blank first for Etienne, right? So and that's cool and well. So I was adamant that like in order for me to move Etienne, I have to get the blank first to Justin, and then I said, well, hey, like why don't you take Mixon? Let's work Brian Thomas in. Boom. It was, he gets the best player in Etienne, but I feel like I got the next 2 with Thomas in the first.
And I feel like Thomas, just from from a prospect standpoint, like the upside of Thomas, I think he has top 15 wide receiver.
Yeah,
upside.
and for us to make a jag for a jag, right? Well, because Justin has a lot of good talented receivers, it makes sense to kind of, just hey, I'm going to transfer that sort of talent and upside of a team that could be good again, the Jags,
Sure.
for it in running back instead of receiver. And look, you got to
needs
pay.
running backs. He needs running
backs. You know, so he paid a price, but he got 2 good ones, I think. You know,
I think the deal was very fair for both sides.
You know?
I really liked it for you.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. And I was going to say the final point for the Bombers. Maybe you can say his message, but
that's true. We should bust that out.
The final thing from my point of view from him, it was important to him to get some value, kickback value from a draft capital. Some people want kickback value in the form of other players. I asked him, he's like, no, he's comfortable with his random players. That's fine. I don't need to give you my random players, but I offered them. He didn't want them. He wanted the second, which, it's kind of like moving from pick 5 to 16.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sizable move. I mean, it's
no, it is, but it's
not
like
to
you're
make
at least getting something back.
Right, like you have some sort of recoup of pick value, which and Justin loves the draft just as much as all of us, so I understand. So we also have a statement from the Bombers.
Yeah, none of them more prepared, just more like he told me to regurgitate what he had already previously told me. And, he texted me Tuesday night when it happened, 10:18. So, right, that was fresh when it happened.
I got to tell you, that is significantly earlier than 5:30 a.m.
Yes. Yeah, I know. It's weird that they got it done quick,
time, yeah.
losers. You don't need the next 7 hours? Huh.
Justin was just waking
He
up.
said, more than I wanted to pay, but I think it's fair. I responded with, I agree, but it is fair. It sucks to give up a blank first, but getting a second back feels a little bit good.
It does.
He said, yep, I saw it as Brian Thomas Jr. and the first, straight up, were fair value for Etienne and Mixon. Etienne is worth a first plus, and I can't really take 2 Jags players.
No.
Also, Brian Thomas Jr. was 1.7, and I'm hopeful that will be the lowest I pick again this year.
Okay.
So I think Justin views it as like 2 late firsts given up, late-ish first.
And that's fair. Yeah, like if you consider like 5 to 10, hopefully that's where it ends up for him. Yeah.
I need the extra help from Mixon, and that fills the value gap from what's left over from the first I gave up, which is
Right.
kind of like
Yeah.
Brian Thomas is not enough for Etienne
No,
in
and
the
I
first and all that. Although I don't love giving up 2 premium picks for 1 premium player, which is
That's fair.
like how you said you got the second and third best asset,
Yep.
but he got the best.
Yep.
So basically reiterating your point in a different way. So
No, yeah, like we were able to come to terms. It was a trade that made sense. It was like staring at us in the face as a deal that like, hey, like we should kind of do this.
Right. And let's look at this from the Bombers' perspective here, because this was a team that we had kind of been railing on all offseason about the running back situation. It seems like this is at least, it might not solve everything as far as the running back depth, but man, at least we have some legitimate starters, right?
Well, and he echoed that too. He said a couple different ways to look at it, but ultimately every single way, while it sucks to give up a first, it seems pretty fair, and it would be pathetic to go into the season with one of the best wide receiver rooms, and then Zeke is my RB2.
And that great quarterback room.
And a great quarterback room as well.
And his great tight end.
He did
Kyle
say,
Pitts.
just a disservice to my whole season and
Future Hall
team.
of Famer Kyle Pitts.
But as we discussed with running back, inventory is low.
It's hard to find them, man. I mean, like, you got 4 of them. You're
Yeah.
probably not moving off those guys.
Well,
why
there's no
would you?
reason, because,
Yeah.
like, if you're going to give me, if I'm going to be a fair trade for a not running back, then it's probably going to be a young wide receiver. But that makes
Sure.
my team worse right now.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, unless
if you're
I
trying
don't-
to win it now, you're not going to just move
Exactly.
off of
Now,
a running back.
week 7, I might be middle of the pack team,
Sure.
and it's like, wow, Pacheco's killing it. Let me get a good wide receiver out of this for the future or something
Right.
like that.
And
but
you might have somebody on the bottom of your roster kind of emerge at the running back position that helps
Mm-hmm.
out a little bit more, and you can digest that loss of a running back a little bit
last
better.
year I had Kyron. You don't expect a player like
No,
that,
you
but
never do.
I did have him, and I did draft him. So he was a player that I did incubate and do. And let's get real deep with
Oh, I love
Kyron. So James and I were in the archives,
Ooh, I love
and
archives.
you and I we had tiddlywinks
Did I
over
archives?
Kyron and Brock Purdy, where I offered you Kyron
Yep.
for Brock Purdy
I remember
and a
this deal, too.
fourth.
Yep.
And I think I
probably
gave you
should've done
Tannehill, and I gave you Tannehill, and you countered with taking off the fourth, and I
That's
said,
a
no,
ref- that's
I
tough.
can't do it. I need the fourth.
I love
I
it.
can't
I
do
love
it. We played hardball, and we did get the deal done, and then Sean and I did get it done. He gave me a third and a fourth and Dak.
You need
For
an asset to
Kyron.
4 a.m. Bringing another
Yeah.
team to
You
get
gotta
that
be in
4th
there.
done.
And then Sean won the league. I mean, it was literally a league-changing
Yeah.
move.
It is.
It was a league-altering.
And I think too, like that Kyron, when we were talking about the Bijan trade, he was a throw-in that we were talking about, like who are we going to throw
Mm-hmm. Yes,
in?
he was.
Is it Gus Edwards? Is it Kyron Williams? And
Yep.
I was trying to get Kyron, and you told me no.
Yep.
And it
Yeah.
ended up being Gus. I was like, well, shit, that could have
And
been a
that
lot
worked out
different.
too, though.
That could have been a way different story if I got Kyron instead of Gus. But
There is one more trade that I want to come back to that you've done recently.
Yeah.
which
Run
is
it now,
Which
run
is
it.
that Tank Dell trade.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
So what I like about this from the 10,000 foot view that we have now after your other moves.
Yeah.
So you traded Tank Dell, and you got back Tillman, Isaiah Davis, which are negligible. Those are guys that you hope they work out, but they're.
Yeah.
But you get your own 2025 second round pick back
Yep.
in that trade. So originally you moved that in another trade.
2-1,
Yeah.
2-1.
You get it back.
Right.
Now that you're a team that's more positioned to be in that top 2 running for draft pick, that pick becomes a little more interesting in that second round.
It's
where you-
ultra premium.
Well, that was why I could do these trades. I can't blow the team up like I do with the Bombers and.
So would
and
you
the
say it
Ducks.
was safe to say that like that trade last night? That trade last night doesn't happen if this trade doesn't happen first.
Yeah, that's correct. There was an order of operations, if you will, and even
Hemdus. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Wait, well, who can we replace Sally with, like a player? There's got to be a way.
That's-
Please
yeah.
excuse my dear Aunt.
core beliefs at the Lambs. That's
Saquon,
our
I
order.
don't
Yeah.
know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. The order of operations.
The order of operations. Absolutely.
Lamb's order of operations.
Well,
I
it-
wish Vince was here for that. That'd be a meme. That's a meme right there. the Lamb's order.
Well,
of operations.
he's definitely aware of that because we talked about that. But yeah, it makes sense. And Tank Dell is a player who almost is like a borderline first kind of thing. So again, the fact that I'm willing to move him to Dustin, hey, I'm helping you out with cuts.
Right.
Just again,
I tried to make a trade with Dustin to make his cuts for him. It didn't
Oh,
work
shit.
out. Oh,
Thank
look
you.
at this
Wow.
beard just appearing off screen.
It's for the line.
thank you so much.
It's like the hand in SpongeBob
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
out and like
Squidward.
washes them or something.
Squidward. Now we just talked about the. Oh yeah, here look at a podcast.
A three-way ding.
I'll dig him over here. We were just talking about the Lamb's order of operations, and we were saying, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Maybe we can replace the S with the player from the Lambs. I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. But
Doing the Tank Dell. Well, if Tillman or any of those players that I picked hit from that trade, from the Tank Dell trade, their nickname can be what? Please excuse my.
please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
Pundus or
Pemdis.
Pemdis,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
That'll be their nickname on God.
Put it on there. Put it in the sleeper. I'm ready for it. I'm here.
Cedric Tillman, he was the key because
He
that
was
was when
the
we played hardball over him. We haggled over Cedric Tillman.
And just for Tillman a couple of years, It's,
But it was a player, again, obviously, I
I'm
traded
not a
him,
Cedric Tillman guy, but
whatever. I traded him Amari Cooper. It was a player that, hey, like if I'm keeping Cooper, like at least it's like, if Cooper leaves, Tillman gets the first
yeah,
shot.
at least you get a shot. Yeah,
He gets the first
you
shot.
get a
like,
lottery ticket,
he gets one training camp to prove that, like,
and it's possible.
and if he hits, he hits, and if he doesn't,
I mean, he wasn't
the next,
that bad coming out.
That's what I'm saying. He was not a day 3, so big thing. A day 2 pick player. Anyway,
Right.
Those are the kind of lottery tickets that I've taken on now.
Sure, but that's
So.
when you're rebuilding roster, you want lottery tickets. That's that's what it
But
is all about.
getting the second back from the Elk, yeah, it absolutely was
I mean,
key.
you could be
And
2-1, 2-2.
It unlocked everything.
unlocked
Nothing else
everything,
could have been
but-
done. Everybody else would have had to have
Everyone-
overpaid after the fact because
Yeah.
James has to compensate for the fact that if he tanks, he's not getting 2-1 or 2-2.
No, you get the
It's
full benefit.
not
Full
his
benefit.
benefit.
I get the full
Exactly.
benefit of it.
So everyone else now is going to be made harder, and it gets harder on them because now you have to make up the value difference. Or good luck getting the second yourself from Dustin, which
And
is
we tried that with Justin, but ultimately it came to a place where I went through the gauntlet trying to sell Mixon or even Brian Robinson to the Elk for the second, and the only thing he wanted was Tank Dell. I was like, all right, well now we got to open it up and take advantage of the roster cuts, and and I was like, you're definitely giving me Tillman. I don't want the other tight ends, Jatavian Sanders as the throw-in at 4 a.m. All right, that's fine. But I just
you had to be there. You got to be there.
You had to be there.
You gotta be there. Sorry.
It has to be 4 a.m. throw-in.
4 a.m. throwing
4 a.m.
Jatavian
throwing.
Sanders.
Inverse 420.
It's really who the 2026 pick is. That fourth, he's the true.
Sure.
That's his nickname. He's like Mr. Irrelevant gets a nickname. Like that's the true like
Absolutely.
4 a.m. throwing
Put
is.
it in right.
Yeah.
Because even like on Dustin's team, like I was telling him, like I don't want your tight end cast-offs because I felt like I no offense, but like Johnny Woods and Mana being a tight end cast-off. Like,
I think at this point I would cut him.
But-
he's on IR.
He's IR.
for me, it's an IR, so it's an easy just
Yeah,
keep.
just stash him.
Until you have 5 IR people, then
But
he's the first person cut off
I'm
an
losing
IR.
hope fast for the Jelani Woods. We're off the rails.
We're off the rail.
He's
Yeah,
off
it's
the
fine.
rails.
But for a team like me, he's an easy just keep. I'll keep him through next training camp, and we'll
Yeah,
see,
see what
and
happens.
we'll deal with it then. But so getting with the Elk, like I told him, I was like, I need a receiver and like I said, Isaiah Davis is fine. He may be trash too, but whatever. I'll throw it in the pot of my rebuild, and we'll see if it sticks.
And you need to fill the roster and spaces somehow. You might as well get somebody with upside.
You know,
right?
like a random these are the backs I'm starting. These random pass catching assholes too.
Just hey,
They're also not they're not going to be clogs. Like, you're going to know by this time next year what they usually
if
are.
anything,
right,
yeah.
right.
If anything, yeah.
Yeah, like, is there anything to this player?
Like a Gus
or-
Edwards was someone I picked up, and then I was like, oh, you
And
actually
find
ended
out
up
he's
being
got,
okay.
Yeah, you find out he's got value.
But for every one of those, there's
You
10
gotta
that
run
aren't.
it. You just gotta
So-
turn those guys at the bottom of the roster, see what hits, see what happens. But
So we're gonna be grinding on those. That's
Green's grinders
But-
all year long. But you know, it's a fun time to be an Elk, or I guess.
Well,
Elk
is it a
too.
fun time to be an Elk? Did
is.
Dustin make the right move doing that? Was that the right trade?
that-
Or did James maybe get him at the right time so he can make those cuts?
Well,
I think it's a little of both. I mean,
I think he understood where, like, he's getting Tank Dell too. Like, let's not
I'm not
forget.
discounting
Tank's a
Tank
good
Dell.
He's a good player.
But
so,
the,
like,
the leverage was all, like,
From the
Dustin
Elks-
was the logjam
No, no,
here.
you're
If he
right,
played
you're right.
hardball, none of this happens. Or at least
Right.
happens very differently.
from an Elk point of view, you have all these extra assets, and you're able to consolidate seconds and thirds down in, like,
he is not going to have space for these seconds.
right. So the
He
seconds,
is not going to.
you're able to consolidate 5 things into Tank Dell.
He only has 1/3 now. Not, I
Right,
know.
now he does.
Usually we meme him because he has 5, but this year he
Well,
only
right.
has 1/3. Now he has 8 picks before that.
That's what I'm saying. He
But
has, over the next 2 years, 16 top 20
uncuttable
picks.
players.
Top
Uncuttable
20
players.
picks.
Yeah, that's
So
incredible.
you can't just give those away. Like
No.
like you can't just draft them and cut them. Like it's not gonna
No,
happen.
yeah, you gotta hold them.
So you do have to make space somehow. I mean, obviously we were laughing about the Jake Bobos and the Malik Heath that are the easy cuts
Easy
that I don't know
cuts.
why they haven't been made yet. But that's a
easy,
story for another
easy
day.
now. Come on, they're
I
important.
mean, hey,
numbers.
Jake Bobo, I'll fucking
Jake
chuck-
Bobo the
I'll-
clown.
I'll chuck Jake Bobo for him, but I'm
I'll
trying to
DM
think-
Jake Bobo and say, hey, you should be cut in my Dynasty League.
Just Jake Bobo alerts. Last second alert for Jake Bobo.
I'm waiting for you to get cut. I can't wait, Jake
I'm
Bobo.
trying to think of any other topics that we may have. I know we have the Miami game about to start, but
Yeah.
is there any other topics that we're forgetting over the last couple of weeks? Maybe I was thinking. I mean, obviously we had the roster cuts go through. I guess my 2 little trades, whatever, just roster space trades. But I guess it's great. Scavelli picks up Michael Mayer. Did he get moved in this deal? I don't even remember. I feel like I remember hearing his name at some point, maybe. But
That was a player that we felt it just made sense for the Battle Axes to
hang on to see what happens.
Then let's end on, I think, a fun note.
Sure.
We got 5 of us here, if my counting's right.
I like that.
and I think we do non-Scavelli PR communal power rankings. We're not gonna. This is
Non-Scavelli
real.
PR communal power.
It was Scavelli said James was gonna be feisty. Like, let's
No,
not mince words. Let's do it, and we'll start from 10.
I appreciate the love.
He's just trying to be a nice guy.
I-
You guys
I
should-
appreciate the love. Yeah, I appreciate the love.
So
but,
we
you know,
we all
we
agree
know what we're doing.
that
We're-
James is 10, and then probably Dustin 9.
Yeah, that's.
Now,
Yes.
do we think who's the next one? Is it Alex? Is
I
it
think
Dan?
it's the Muskrats.
I
I
think
think Muskrats and Elk are closer than.
I go Muskrats.
I'm not a Muskrat guy.
Not a
Me neither.
Muskrat guy.
Well, he doesn't have enough
Obama's
top
guy.
talent. Dan has Allen, Jefferson,
Yeah.
He's got arguably the top guy to
Zavante Adams, DK Metcalf. Like, that's gonna travel. That'll play.
The problem is Alex's running back advantage isn't good enough against Dan's
right.
either.
Like,
so yeah,
Dan
I think
doesn't
the
have any running
Muskrats.
backs, but Alex kind of like. Meh.
They're just mediocre. Are they enough to
You know
overcome
what?
the wide
And-
How
receiver
many Ramondre
difference?
Stevens
And
can you have? You know?
Right.
the other
They
thing
made
is
the playoffs last year.
the
too.
quarterback difference that Pat Mahomes gives you is null because he has Josh Allen.
Right, in that scenario, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna put Muskrats then at the 8th team.
I think so too.
The 7th team though then would probably be
Dan.
Dan,
9 and 7.
and those are your not playoff teams by our metrics.
I believe so.
That sounds right to me.
Right, I think
I
that's-
can't. I don't have any arguments.
It sounds harsh, but someone's got to not make
Somebody's
the
gotta
dance.
not make it.
So I think after that, then it's tough between Scavelli and Justin for me
That's
for
an
the 5-6
absolute
line.
dogfight.
It's really close.
That's the if we have the watch party. So let's mention that on the podcast too. We'll get it out in the air. So Vince had a pretty awesome idea that maybe for some of these primetime games we could get a group Discord watch party together and have everybody maybe some bigger games with maybe some close games as we get into the Monday nights would be
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
You know, let's say we have a 110 to 109 battle and 2-2 to play on each side. It'll be a lot of fun.
It'll be fun to
watch
just get,
that.
whether we get 3 guys or 10 guys, it'll be just fun to watch football. And it will all be on the same stream because someone could stream it from Discord. And what's even cooler is as the NFL seeks to drain all our pockets of money, somebody, not all of us have to buy Peacock. One of us can get Peacock, or one of us can get the illegal stream and then stream it for us. The point is, it'll make it easier to watch football. It'll make it more fun to watch football. And most of us would have been doing nothing on a Thursday or Monday night anyway.
Right.
So
I feel like there will be absolutely awesome opportunities for the Monday night games because we know there's going to be a couple of barn burners, some close games. And then, of course, as the season goes on, we can, pick and choose. Let's say it's, the last week of the season, and we got Battle Axes versus Bombers or something, and that's the one I want to watch, right? If they're trying to.
Or
get
last
into the
year, you
playoffs.
and Scavelli were undefeated. I think you were 5-0s or something
I
like
was
that.
at least
the battle
4 or
of
5,
5-0
yeah.
or 4-0s. Him and
That would be a
Scavelli?
fun one.
Like that'd
for
been a
Monday
fun
night
one to
game.
watch on a Monday or Thursday.
But we could always determine that based on just what it looks like.
It
after
could be
Sunday.
short notice. Hey guys, tonight we're doing it. We just decided. If you can make it, cool. If not, it's no pressure. But it would just be something fun to watch football with the boys. So that was our commercial. And
Well, do we also want to have a commercial for the Empire aspect?
oh
of
yeah,
this?
the Empire League. So this is another thing that
The Galactic Empire.
it's a way that people do dynasty leagues. All it is we would each put in an extra $5 each year, and when someone wins back to back, which has never happened, you would just get the payout like free parking in Monopoly. How when you land on free parking, you get whatever the payout is. Once someone goes back to back, you'd get whatever the payout is. So $5 a person, 10 people, it would go up $50 a year until someone wins.
Yeah, so I mean, we have 6 of us here that all seem to kind of be into it. So like, literally, we need one more person to say they're into it, and we'll probably end up implementing. It's only $5, right? Like,
Mhm.
but so I mean, $50 can
Over
grow the
10
pot.
years, it's an extra $50
Sure.
that may randomly come due, or it could happen.
We haven't happened yet.
It's never happened.
Yeah, we're
If we
having.
started from the
or
beginning, we'd
as
have a
Vince
nice
said-
pot here.
Yeah,
it'd be
or-
pretty wild.
It'd be what, $650? If we started from the beginning, there'd be $650 up for grabs for whoever
It'd
won.
be pretty cool to have it built to that. I mean, maybe we'll see a back-to-back soon, but I mean, it would be fun to build that. So I'm on
Well,
board with that.
we'll tell you in our power rankings where Sean is if back-to-back's possible.
There
No,
you go.
okay. So,
for next podcast.
yeah, I think I'm going to give it to Scavelli because I really think having all the running backs, and now it's 5 good running backs, right, with Brian Robinson? We have Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Brian Robinson, Pollard,
yeah.
decent, startable.
Fine,
Who else,
fine.
Scavelli? Help us. Who else is your other running backs?
Aaron
Aaron
Jones.
Jones.
Oh, Aaron Jones. You can't
Aaron
forget the
Jones.
list of Aaron
Okay.
Jones.
So, I mean, like,
Oh, young Buckward.
you got some depth, and I was going to say, my big...
Jamal Williams isn't. It's
All right,
totally
you
irrelevant.
can stop talking.
Yeah, we don't need Jamal
We need
Williams. He's
Jamal
terrible.
Williams. We can
Justin's depth's a
I did
little
not ask for
suspect.
Jamal Williams.
He has some good receiver depth. He has like Deontay Johnson and one other guy that are off the bench that are pretty good. Marquise Brown and
He's
Deontay
hurt right now,
Johnson.
but
But
he should be
the
good.
running back depth is still not good.
No.
I mean, it's now functional, but before we were so destitute that we had to do something.
Right. I mean, at least now it's a somewhat formidable running back room. I mean,
Walker and Etienne that's going to be the turn probably in a redraft league,
Yeah,
of running backs. Like that's a
pretty
good
nice-
1-2 running backs.
pretty
I
nice
like it a
one.
lot.
That's functional.
It's
Yeah,
functional.
And I like his running backs a lot. If this was, or his wide receivers, if this was year
I love the
3
receivers.
of Marvin Harrison, I'd feel great. If this was Jamar Chase not having a contract issue, I'd also feel great. But between those 2 issues and maybe a little of the depth at running back I'm not loving, I'm going to give the little bit of an edge to Scavelli. That's me personally. I think that's a coin
Yeah.
flip. It's like a 55-45 type thing.
I don't have. I'm 50-50. I don't know.
Yeah,
I truly
That's a
don't
tough
know.
one.
I can't make a conviction either way.
I just traded with both, so I don't want to,
What do you mean? We got
either.
Okay, so there's our PR answers again. We said
PR
we wouldn't do
answers.
this.
I know, I
Said
just-
we wouldn't do this.
All right, if I had to pick, I'm going Bombers because I love the Bombers.
All right.
Sorry, Scavelli.
I
I love the Battle Axes
but
too, but
that's how
I just want to see
I
them
think
do something.
we all agree it's close.
I just
It's
want them
close.
to do
Why?
something. It's like that meme. Come on, do something. Like that's the Bombers. I want something to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like this season really would be a turning point for the Bombers. in
He
general.
made an effort, so no one can say
Right.
he sat on his
I'll
hands.
believe, because it was Evans and the Bucks players that I traded, and before both big trades, I actually I did have the Battle Axes ahead of the Bombers, but I had them similar. If you remember, Dynabook did. So they were ranked. So that's kind of how I see the same thing. It's like the Battle Axe is kind of like held serve now. Like, all right, hey, all right, Bombers.
They answered.
Bombers. I saw what you did. I'm now gonna stay on the tier.
I'm going to answer by my own move.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
will say this has
So
been
that's-
one of the most fun 3-month periods
Yeah, that's right.
of just preseason trading where we have okay, this guy made this move. I'm gonna do this to try to come over the top, and then somebody else re-races.
it's
over
been a
the
fun
top.
3 years.
I mean, of
really.
course. But I'm saying recently,
Yeah.
it feels like it's been a lot with just running back movement specifically, but then just big deals happening, change the landscape of the league, and try to set that formidable playoff grouping that we think is.
And this is only for this year rankings. We're not talking about how I feel about you
No.
going forward or
No.
if I want your
This
team
is
better
this
than this
season.
guy. It's just this season
A
redraft style
contender
ranking.
view, as they say.
Contender view, correct.
Ready to debate you and Eric's team?
And then I
That's okay.
do you have an opinion real quick on Scavelli versus
Yeah,
Justin?
Sean?
'Cause
Scavelli
he
versus
said
Sean?
Justin, Vince and I said
Scavelli.
I shaded Justin.
I mean, that's how close it is. I think it
Yeah.
may be 2-2, maybe it's
Scavelli,
3-1.
sorry you don't get a vote because you're a little biased in this one. No, I'm sure you're going to pick yourself, obviously. You said it was a win now move. You don't make a win now move and then say, yeah, I'm sixth.
I would have to
Probably go Scavelli.
Okay.
If I'm just trying to like really go think about like what my rankings look like for this year off the top of my head,
Yeah.
I would probably.
No, there's this trade with why it made sense. Yeah, to add a lot of needed shot in the arm kind of depth too, and it's functional players that again at receiver
I
too.
feel a lot better trading a first and a third round pick for Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, and Brian Robinson than trading a first and a third for Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, no.
We got a little bit of
Hey now.
Yeah.
Hey now. Hey now. Yeah, that's a good fun one.
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
That
so-
one did not age well.
No.
I think then, yeah, consensus is it's really close,
Very
but we're going to put Justin right at that 6th spot, Scavelli at the 5. And then, yeah, I think the next one is the argument between me and Eric. I think when Sean made his trade, he put himself ahead of me and Eric. But I'm going to give it to myself. Obviously, I'm biased, like I said, to Scavelli.
Well,
But
we talked-
I think
I had
Eric
you
had a
at
rough
2
off
recently.
season where, like,
Sure.
Chris McCaffrey's still
A
hurt.
lot of weird
I used
stuff.
to sign, so we're okay.
Yeah, that
That's
helped
better.
A,
That
that
feels
helped
good.
a lot, honestly. If it was Steelers, I'm knocking myself down.
You know, so we're kind of
Oh,
back
sure.
at like neutral or like maybe back on the upswing with some of how
We stopped the
feel.
bleeding.
We stopped the bleeding. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
I mean, I still really like a lot. I still
Yeah.
think I have upside left to tap too,
Yeah.
as far
Agreed.
as receivers go. But
For sure.
I rank myself under Vince right now, strictly because I truly believe in his top 4 running backs.
Yeah, there's
and
some-
I just in this league, the running backs are so key. And if you can have depth there, like good depth too,
Yeah.
not
Oh,
like
yeah.
we're talking Isaiah Pacheco as a flex. Like
Yeah.
that's
Oh, yeah.
that is
No,
great
we're-
stuff in this league.
it's super hot.
And
like it.
I don't think I can match that right now. So I
Okay.
truly believe, like with his proven guys,
Yeah.
like a Cooper Cups.
Yeah,
I
no,
love
no,
Terry
there's-
McLaurin.
We have
I
enough
mean,
at receiver that to feel good about. And stuff.
Sure, and
Yeah.
of course, like his
and my
quarterback
roster's
situation has gotten better.
set. Like,
Trey
I don't
McBride's
have...
very good. I don't see a lot of teams being able to stack up to the Lionheads this year. So that's just kind of like my overall look.
You usually have
I
to
feel like,
overmatch me in other ways because my
Right.
running backs are going to be like, oh, there goes 70 points, 60 points between the 4 of them.
like if you're a team like the Battle Axes, for example, and like who would you rather face? If I'm the Battle Axes, I would rather face me than you just because of the running back situation.
well, I
That's
nullify
just me.
his advantage. His
Right,
advantage is supposed to be running
exactly.
backs. He's like, well, now I can't do it because I'm against Vince. Tibbs is the other one because Tibbs has 5 good running backs.
Sure, I mean, well,
So
I-
that's why
and that's why
he's
he's
the
the
clear-
one.
clear
That's why we
one,
think
yeah.
he's the one.
And he's
Defending
got a
champ,
zillion
Sean.
great
Defending
receivers.
champ Sean. And Sean made a great effort. That's why Sean, I think, is the clear 2 now
No, I
because
like
the
this
James
stuff.
Cook is a low end
Dale's a
1,
great
high end
deal.
2 are running back.
I think
Like,
there's a lot of people that are fans of James Cook. I
we talked about
think
the
we
Cook
know
deal
what
on
he
the-
is.
on the
Yeah, no,
podcast?
I mean,
I
we mentioned.
can't remember.
I think we mentioned it a
I
couple.
think everyone
times
here
now.
is. I don't think anyone here is.
But now we're talking about it, right?
True. We're putting it in on record.
On
Like I
record.
said, I think it because I think it was a question at times. Is Sean even the number 2 team? Right.
Yeah.
Prior to
how we
that
feel.
trade,
I mean,
yes.
I mean, you may feel you're better than Tibbs, but I think you also recognize he's got a lot of value on his team, a lot
sure.
of good stuff on his team, and I think we all agree with you that James Cook is a nice move to re-strengthen the
I think
roster.
I think he's a good player.
Well, let me put it a different way. If everyone's healthy, then I could give the edge to Sean over Tibbs. The thing that I give the
They
edge
are.
to Tibbs is he has better depth. And I know that if Tibbs,
He
if
has
both
high class. He has high
high class
stats.
depth, if both of them took 2 IR injuries to some of their best starters,
Tibbs
I
could
think
weather
Tibbs could weather better than any of us. That's not a
Yeah.
knock on Sean. That would be
Well,
better
yeah.
than
He's just-
anybody.
He's just really fucking deep. That's
His
just-
deep
there's-
is
there's-
super.
there's
He's
nowhere
got
else to
like
put it,
James
yeah.
said, high class depth. It's high quality depth.
Does he have
So
a third quarterback yet?
no, and that's
No,
his
that's
Achilles
not
That's
real.
heel.
not high class stuff. That's we
But
don't
I'm
need
just
that.
saying in general, like it is.
It's a
we
thing.
could end up in fucking if
Derek-
AR gets hurt, we got nothing left except for Dak.
I lost Rodgers and Kirk Cousins by week 5.
It's possible.
And I had Bryce Young was my last
Derails
guy.
this entire season. I mean, who are you gonna start?
Who in our league has like 6 quarterbacks where they could just trade them?
No, I don't know. I don't know who could that be?
Scavelli.
When you have 6 quarterbacks, you have 1.
Scavelli's trades aren't done. Maybe
I don't
who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. I
Old
feel like
quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield.
What
quarterbacks?
any
Tibbs.
quarterback you want, he's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
my,
we agree-
My excess of quarterbacks last year won me a fucking championship, to be honest. Because I
Kinda.
traded away Justin Fields, I traded away Dak, and that got me Kyron Williams, and it got me a future pick. And who did I get in our deal with?
You did not get a
Fields?
future pick. I got the future picks. Oh, hell
No,
yeah.
it's
I gave you Jared Goff too.
And I got Goff.
Jared Goff, Girth.
That's a great
Jared-
backup quarterback, especially you want to
That's an ideal backup
steady Eddie
quarterback.
for your Lamar Jackson. Goff is perfect
That's
for
a
that.
great combo.
It is.
Not a position that we've traditionally held in like high esteem in our league, but it's definitely
It's
one,
improved over the years.
It's
It's-
definitely one where
the
it's
six
Quarterbacks
point-
are starting to get, and they're getting injured, so it's like you got to have good,
Yeah.
like a few.
I think you need 3.
I
really
agree.
you need
I think
three.
3 is the floor. You don't need to go 4.
That's
3.
the cheese fries one sour spot because I also don't trust Anthony Richardson.
all right.
I don't
good.
either.
If
It's
he gets hurt week
decided. I'm the
4,
one.
it's Dak or die.
I don't know that. No, it's very close. I mean, in my opinion, the Scavelli Justin, the me Eric, and the Sean Adam are all pretty close, like 2 packs.
Yeah.
If I was going to do
That's
it,
fair.
but
But I
I
have a nice dancing partner. Me and Dustin.
Dancing partner, that's a good way to put it.
You know, dancing for the first pick. You
really
know,
is.
Alex
It's gonna be a good battle all year
twos.
long.
It's two,
Wait, hey,
two
what
by
week-
2. We're
what
doing
week-
the Noah's Ark year. It's our Noah's Ark arc.
What week do the Elk and Lambs play?
2 by 2.
We should have a watch party for that.
You guys play each other once or twice?
Oh, that's fun. Great question.
Twice.
Great question.
Oh,
Twice.
Oh,
wow.
Big battles.
Huge
Big
battles.
week 3 battle.
VP of Legal Services,
Yeah,
Justin
yeah.
Seeger
We
will
gotta
be
be all
online
over.
for that.
We
one.
gotta be all over that matchup.
Oh
We
man,
gotta be all over
that's
that
gonna
matchup.
be great.
I noticed that 420 on Tuesday, you took X player out of your lineup. Is there a reason for that?
It was the inverse.
Just have some
420.
questions.
Oh no! I really like Amy Brown this week. Really like Amy Brown. James,
Tank Commanders.
James, he's had 8 snaps in the last 3 games.
James, you also have 3 commanders starting.
Tank Commanders.
Tank
Commanders.
Quite literally tank commanders. All right, we're almost at an hour here, so let's wrap this up. We're gonna watch the Miami game. I hope you enjoyed this special presentation live from a hot tub in Florida. Hope to bring you some more of these in the future, and we'll see if we can get something going for a watch party in the very near future. And happy season, right? This
Yeah,
is probably the
we're
last
here,
one for
we're
the
here,
season.
we're
So
here.
happy season,
luck,
good
yeah,
luck,
absolutely.
everybody. Have a fun year, and just make sure when you have a chance in the Discord, just let us know about the Empire League if you're interested in that.
And we'll bring it up in other capacity
Yeah,
as
we'll-
well.
we'll bring it up.
And if you disagree with those power rankings, then I'm sorry, you're wrong. They're fact.
You heard the
Should've came to
man.
the draft.
Sorry.
All right, see
All right,
y'all
guys.
later.
Thank
It
you.
was fun.